One of the most harmful myths about mental illness is that once someone starts seeking help or support, their symptoms just disappear. This is absolutely not true. Regardless of where someone is in their recovery journey, some days are more difficult than others. In this video, speakers share experiences of these particularly bad days. They talk about how draining or debilitating these days can get, and how simple things like getting out of bed or taking a shower can get really difficult.
I really have learned that the more times you fall and pick yourself up, the better you get at recovering. For example, a few years ago I had a big breakdown and it took me months, the best part of a year, to actually recover from that and start functioning in society again. Now, if I have a breakdown, if I am suffering from depression, no matter how extreme, I can recover in weeks or sometimes days and start functioning again, going to work, seeing my friends, doing the things that I would have otherwise done if I hadn't been suffering, much quicker than I ever could have before. And that's because the more times you pick yourself up, the better your recovery and coping strategies become. And it really reinforces this, that some days are better than others and better days will come, and you will get better at welcoming those days back into your life, trust me. One coping mechanism which has been fantastic for me has been exercise. Really, when experts, doctors, medical doctors started recommending that I do exercise to try and maintain my mental well-being, I really thought that they were just trying to put a band-aid on it. I didn't really take it seriously, and it took me a long time to really give exercise a good go. And I'm so glad that I did, because it's really been a lifesaver for me. I enjoy running, I enjoy swimming, I enjoy cycling. I enjoy so much that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to enjoy if I hadn't really given that a chance. And it really has helped me manage my mental health. I've found that when I'm suffering, I can take myself to the gym, and even though the exercise and going to the gym doesn't make me better, it really does alleviate my symptoms if my physical body will allow, because as I said, I do get some physical symptoms such as fatigue, and on those days I really have to, question whether the gym is the right coping strategy for that day. But on the whole, if I can get out and get to the gym, I get such a sense of achievement, which, though it doesn't make me better, it really helps alleviate my symptoms and gets me on the right track to those positive, better days that are coming so soon.
I think that I definitely have some days that are more difficult than others. And there's always highs and lows in my week. I think it's important to learn when to take a step back for you as an individual, as and when you need. And this is something that I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert at, because I'm really not. And this is something that I'm still learning to do, to listen to myself better and to acknowledge when I need a rest and a break. I think it's important to learn when to take a step back, to take a pause, listen to yourself and what your body wants and needs. And I think there's no shame in saying, you know what, I need to take a rest day. If you're going to be much more productive, function better, be more healthy, I think this can only be a good thing for every aspect of your life. And again, I don't want to preach and make you feel like I'm lecturing, because I'm not an expert, but I don't think there's any shame in taking a step back and taking a rest. But yes, some days are more difficult than others. Sometimes I can barely function and do basic daily tasks, such as taking my medication. I forget, I put it off. Some days I can not perform well at work. Just recently I took half a day off. I went home because I knew that I wasn't functioning well, and the next day was 10 times better. And simple tasks become increasingly time-consuming, more difficult. You're very irritable, and it's just not very good for you. It's not very good for your health, and it's good to listen to yourself. But it's something I'm improving on.
When discussing how some days may be more difficult than others. That's kind of what I'm referring to with, some days I just can't get out of bed. I just don't have motivation. I don't have energy. And there is a lot of academic guilt for taking time off to take care of my mental health. And I know I'm not alone in feeling that, for sure. I know that's a common theme among graduate students, junior scholars. It is true, right? Some days I don't want to get out of bed, showering, brushing my teeth, eating, brushing my hair. Some of like the basic life necessities, I just don't have the energy to do, and I just don't want to. I'd rather just lay in bed and even stare at the ceiling than like have to focus my energy on anything. But again, I'm very blessed now to have a husband that understands that and respects that and just kind of helps me through it. He always asks what he can do to help me. And for the most part, there's really nothing that can be done except for letting it pass. The biggest thing that I can tell people is to give yourself grace. There's this like meme that's going around that, somebody once said that their professor told them anything that's worth doing is worth doing poorly. And on the surface level, that doesn't make sense, right? Like, you want to do things that are important, you want to do them well, but if you're having trouble brushing your teeth or taking a shower, like doing that for brushing your teeth for 10 seconds or taking a quick shower but not washing your hair, those things are better than not doing it at all. So those baby steps matter so much more. And I think had I had that mindset from the beginning to be gracious with myself, I think it would have made dealing with the diagnosis a lot easier.
I have those, it totally depends on what's going on. So maybe once or twice a month, but during those times when I get really anxious for some reason and anxiety flares up, I just really give myself a break and let myself know that it's okay not to be productive 100% of the time. Sometimes you just have to get through the days. Sometimes the anxiety is so bad, especially with how the world is right now, that you really just need to focus on getting through the day and getting through some assignments and just, making it to the next day. And so that's something that I've really had to work on. So the phrase, some days are more difficult than others, is definitely true. Again, depending on what's going on. Some days will be really, really difficult. Sometimes when anxiety is flaring up, again, it'll be almost impossible to get through some days. And it's just, it's not, oh, I have a ton to do. It's okay, I have this to-do list that's, a regular length. And sometimes it's just impossible to get things done because my brain is just, again, like a beehive. It's buzzing. I can't focus on anything. And it's really hard to get work done, but sometimes it's even really tough to do little things, but just giving myself a break and saying that it's okay not to be okay, and it's okay to just get through the day. Maybe you won't get everything done on your to-do list, but it's okay because you got through a really, really tough anxiety day.
Some days are definitely more difficult than others. I can have days where, or even weeks where I'm super energetic, super confident, bounce out of bed. I can start new projects. I'm creative. I'm super social. I just look fresh and happy and can do a stack of exercise, and everything just seems pretty easy. And then there are other days where it's just showering is an incredible achievement. I've learned on those days to just go back to basics, and as long as I eat and clean myself and drink some water, that's kind of that's enough for that day. I do have one really strong memory during 2020. So I was teaching pathology to undergraduates last year. And even though Melbourne was in stage 4 lockdown, which meant that there were only 5 reasons that we could leave our home, which was kind of shopping for essentials, going to the doctor, that kind of thing, I was able to teach in person for the last half of the semester because these students were sort of biomedical research students and were in their final semester of their degree. So it was deemed that they were essential. So at that point, I regained the ability to catch public transport. So I caught the train, but this was the first time I'd been out of my 5-kilometre radius in months because of our restrictions. And it was the first time that I'd seen my students face to face, been at a university campus in person, so many firsts. And I experienced a huge amount of anxiety in the first year of the COVID-19 pandemic. So much so that there were days when I had to retreat to a room, a dark room, a quiet room on my own and close my eyes and just have zero visual or audio stimulation to calm down. And yeah, I had to teach, so I had to get there. And I got on the train and I was listening to audio files. There's an app that I listen to called the Shine app that has a lot of kind of positive affirmations and guided meditations. And I was listening to an audio file about self-confidence or something like that was kind of like, you can do it. I just needed some extra support to kind of push through this huge level of anxiety to just get to the university, let alone teach students for 3 hours in pathology. So like that, it felt like people sometimes talk about anxiety being like crossing a multi-lane highway, you know, just to do some of the basic things that other people do. And that's what it felt like that day. It felt like just to get to work, it was like crossing a multi-lane highway blind with cars like coming at me from all which direction. And then I had to stand up the front of the class and lead a class and guide students. So yeah, some days are definitely harder than others.
On the bad days, my depression and anxiety, which gets particularly worse before my period, take a huge toll on my self-perception and my perception of the world. I tend to believe that I'm unworthy, I'm broken, I'm a burden. I tend to hide from social interactions because I'm unable to handle the internal turmoil of how I think others see me. I also experience huge difficulties with my executive function. Simple tasks seems exceedingly hard, and ability to focus on anything demanding is damaged. If I require a difficult task to be done during a bad day, I would most likely ask for any kind of help. Would it be planning or actually doing it? If I cannot ask for help, it will likely take me a very long time to start and finish the task. And the probability of me making mistakes will push me to do things with extra caution, so it will take even longer. After I complete my work, it will take me around 1 to 2 hours just to relax and find my way to let go of the feeling that I might have not done something, probably forgot something, maybe I made a mistake. So I will be unable to get home early or relax, even if I'm already home. This results in me feeling completely drained and needing few days of rest to be able to fully recover.
There will be light, there will be sunlight streaming through the windows and falling on my face. And in the past, this has always helped me awake faster, rather than very clouded days, very overcast days. And honestly, I just couldn't find the energy at the time to wake up. I would feel like, what's the point? What would be the point of waking up? It would be another vicious cycle of waking up, feeling miserable, not being able to get anything done that I love. And back then, I have lots of hobbies. I paint, I write, I cook, I read, I sing. I'm actually trained in classical singing. But back then, what meaningful work constituted, was just writing papers, just doing math. When you ask, some days are more difficult than the others, actually most days were extremely difficult. Any kind of chore seemed almost impossible to muster the energy to accomplish. It involved not being able to even clean my apartment on a regular basis. Even that happens, my apartment would be untidy.